Ladies and gentlemen, here at Poets of the East, we invite some of the finest poets across the globe to come and talk about not just their art, but to get a chance to share more than the typical 3 to 5 minute slot that most of us are permitted in these poetry groups across the globe. And we get a chance, in addition, to learn something about the artist behind that lovely work. And as those of you who've joined me know, I only invite the best poets. So, Alecia, it is an honor to have Alecia Lewis with me today, a fantastic poet and a wry commentator on the things in this world. So, Alecia, welcome. I'm so
Thank you for
glad you could
having
join
me.
me.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, as you know, the first portion of our show is a discussion of how this amazing artist, Alecia, grew, how she started. So I'm going to start with your life as a child.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask, do you remember the first book that made an impression on you?
Um, I've always loved poetry growing up. My mother had this collection. I think it was like the best loved American poems. It was by
Oh,
Hazel. I can't remember the last name,
sure.
but we read it. I read it so much that it like fell to pieces, and then years later, I found another
Oh,
copy.
how nice. How nice. That's great. Now, some of us, even when we were young, found certain books made a huge impression on us. What was the book that made a big impression on you when you were just a child?
It was in the fourth grade because I read all kind of stuff when I was growing up. I would read about Greek mythology. I would say one of the books that was like probably was "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret" by Judy Blume. I
Wonderful.
read it as a child and loved it. I read it till it fell apart, and then when I took children's lit in college, I reread it as an adult, and I still loved it.
That's great. That's great. Now, was there a library near you when you grew up?
Um, There was one that was like about 10 miles away. It was like the Alexandria Public Library. And then when I was a child, I think it was like in junior high, seventh or eighth grade, the librarian, would like open the library and let me go in. And I would just like, instead of outside socializing, I would just go in and I would read. And then I had like one of my teachers in junior high would just be like, would let me go to the like library for like 30 minutes out of class. And I would just like be hanging out in the library reading. And I think it was like my senior year of high school, I was like a student worker in the library. And then when I was in college, I was like about 3 years as a student worker in the library.
Oh, how nice.
I've always loved the library. It was really fun is that sometimes some of the books that were like discarded, they would let me have. I was just like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I had a favorite library that I went to all the time as a kid. And when I published my first book, I contacted them and said, what is the procedure to have you accept and put a book on your shelves? I have 2 books I'd like to donate. And they said, oh, just send it. I went, oh
Awesome.
my God. So a library that I attended probably from when I was a kindergartner to seventh or eighth grade. And I loved that library. It was one of those Carnegie libraries that
Nice.
it was gorgeous. It was wood. It was ornate. They had big stairways, you know.
Oh, I love a
Uh,
good library.
oh my God. You know, it's, of course, it smelled from books.
Oh,
It
that's
was
the best
just
sound ever.
it was just amazing. And when they said that, right, I said, okay, I will send you 2 copies. And I said, the only thing I ask, would you, as a librarian there, take a picture of yourself holding my book
Oh,
in that library? It would just really touch my heart.
that's
And
glorious.
yeah, I have that picture still. It is a real
Oh,
special thing for me.
that is
Okay.
fabulous.
Now, when you were a youngster in school, were your teachers encouraging you or they didn't really have an impact?
Some teachers were really encouraging. Um, I was very different as a child. I didn't read stuff that the other kids read, which was like, okay. And I was just like, whatever. I'm like, I would read like Greek mythology. And I was like an English major in college. I
Uh-huh.
got my bachelor's in English. And I took, um, there was an education class, like children's literature. I'm like, this will be fun, which I was like the only non-education major in the class. And it was taught by an elementary school librarian.
Oh, how nice.
And, yes, and she focused a lot on the literary aspect and not so much on the education aspect.
Nice.
And I was just like, and I knew a lot of stuff. And a couple of the students were like, how did you know that? And the teacher's like, she's an English major because we are talking about how like violent some of the children's tales were.
The Grimm
And,
books, absolutely.
yeah, and I was like, which I read those as a child, like the not the unsanitized ones.
Right.
And I was just like, the older the tale, the more violent it is. And they looked at me in amazement. They're like, how do you know that? And the teacher's like, she's an English major.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, the book that I came across when I was about in fourth or fifth grade was The Odyssey.
Oh yeah.
And I ate that up. I
Oh
just,
yeah.
the poetry spoke to me, the elegance of the language, the metaphors he used. I was so blown away. It was one of those books, that you hate to put down.
Yeah.
You hate to get to the end. So first thing, as soon as I finished that, I reread it, right?
Yeah.
And then I discovered that there's a second book,
Awesome.
The Iliad and the Odyssey. And I went,
Yeah.
oh my God, oh my God, a
Yes.
prequel.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
I it gave me a love of not just ancient poetry and ancient
Yes.
history, but it really gave me a taste of taking a look at my own culture today from a whole different vantage point
Yeah.
because it was so overwhelming. It was just an overwhelming book. And it was a paperback. And I had that book in my room probably until I left home.
Oh, that's great. That
Oh,
is
it was a very,
awesome.
very special book to me. Okay, next question. Now, a lot of writers, while they're in school, will get involved with, let's say, a literary project or a newsletter or a newspaper or the yearbook. Were you involved in those?
No, I was not.
Okay. Yeah, I had submitted. I had an experience in junior high school where I went to what I felt was a very rough school, a lot of hoodlums and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was selected because nobody wanted the newspaper editor. I was selected, and then my first edition, I got called into the principal's office. He said, "You are not a crusading editor." Because I was going to right the wrongs as a journalist,
Yeah.
And the other thing that impacted me was um, my father had a tape recorder, very unusual at the time. And he would record his friends and his parties and stuff. So I begged and begged and begged and begged and begged, and finally, I think for my 10th birthday, got a tape recorder. So I became the junior journalist walking around interviewing people.
Nice.
So I've been doing this a long time.
Awesome. This is
Oh,
such an honor.
my dear, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you join me.
Thank you.
Okay, next. Now, there is a point in every writer's life where you write for fun, you write because you're inspired, you write to explain something to yourself, but eventually you start to say, I'm a writer. When did you start to realize that you're a writer?
Probably when I started getting published. Because I wrote poetry a while. I used to write when I was younger. And then I kind of got out of it. And then about 2021, I had some friends that were writing. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's about time I started writing. And then I found my old notebook with like a couple of completed poems, about two or
Mm.
three poems. And I took that as a sign to start writing again.
Okay, my next question, I think I know the answer, but I have to ask.
Okay.
When you began to realize you're a writer, that this is an art form that you love, that you embrace, that helps you explain yourself to yourself, did you think of yourself as a poet, a novelist, a short story writer?
More of a poet because stories really aren't my thing. And writing plays, that's really not my thing. Just poetry's my thing.
Well, I had an interesting experience. I had I had felt that the novel per se has almost as thin an audience as poetry. So
Hmm.
I thought that the literature of our time was films and television. So
Yeah.
I thought the natural place for a storyteller today was in television. So I that was one of my goals. I really wanted to write for television. But when I was in my teens and early 20s, the Vietnam War was on. And I was an active anti-war person. And I wrote a lot of political poetry even then. And I had a chance to perform before large audiences of anti-war enthusiasts. So I kind of cut my teeth on performance poetry.
Yeah.
Oh my God, in 60, 68, 69, 70. Okay.
Nice.
Well, I lived close to what we might call the bohemian part of Miami, Florida. It's called
Yeah.
Coconut Grove.
Oh,
And they
wow.
had regular poetry meets there. There was several places you could go to recite poetry. And I started going to this one, and then they started doing poetry contests. Now, I'm not a big fan of poetry contests
Yeah.
because I think what you write and what he writes or she writes, they're all your unique voice.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there's an argument that one is more eloquent than another, but I personally have such respect for each artist.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say this is an A and this is a B and that is a D. I just refuse to do that.
Yeah.
So, but nonetheless, it was a chance to perform. So I would go and read my humorous poetry.
Nice.
And 3 months in a row, I took first place. And no,
Awesome.
I thought this was just silliness, right? I mean, I didn't want to say negative things about it. But in my heart, I thought that ranking poets is a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, so at the end of the third month, a gentleman walks up to me and he says, Richard, I'm a producer in the local public broadcasting station. And I was wondering, I would like to offer you a radio show. Would you be interested? And I thought, oh my God, this is my entree,
Yeah.
to writing for television and radio. This is great. I said, yeah, sure. And the thing is, before I could even think about what I was going to say, I heard my mouth say, yes, I want to do a science fiction comedy called Martian Ambassador and the Captured Chorus.
Ooh.
And he
Love
went,
that
what? Because his expectation was I was going to do a literary show, invite poets and it'd be a talk show and that sort of thing. He said, really? A science fiction comedy, huh? Well, why do you want to call it Martian Ambassador in the Captured Chorus? I said, well, number one, for the Zen reason that if you want peace, you should pretend to be for war because opposites, right? And
Yeah.
then I said, and the Captured Chorus, that's easy. I don't know who I'm going to get to join me. So whoever I can get to join me, they're my Captured Chorus. So that was my entree into writing for TV and radio, and it was a lot of fun. Okay, back to you.
Okay.
Okay. Now you've realized you're a poet. You go into college. You're studying literature. How did you balance that equation? Okay, well, I'm a poet, but I got to make some kind of living. What were you thinking in terms of how are you going to live as a poet, but do whatever? What was the whatever you came up with?
I've never really thought about making money as a poet. That was just like the furthest thing from my mind.
Right, right. So I'm just saying, what is the alternative? How do you support your poet habit?
Um, um, I work as a production administrator for a company that provides line worker training. Best job in the world.
Great,
I get to be around books all day.
great, great. Okay, next.
Okay.
Now, if you were, I won't ask you for a favorite poet because that's not a fair question.
No,
But
because
could
I
you
can.
name one or two that really speak to you?
Sylvia Plath, Anne Sexton, Edgar Allan Poe, Charles Bukowski, Allen Ginsberg. Of course, you. I love your funny poems, especially on the open mic. The one you read with about Immanuel Kant.
Right.
That was so awesome. That was pure gold.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you.
And then I
Okay.
have like a lot of local poets in my area, like Shelley Jinks Johnson. That's a friend of mine, one of the ones that started getting me back writing into poetry. Um, One of my dear friends, Kate Hodnett, Beverly Easterling, that whenever she reads something of my work, she's not afraid to tell me, pick a stronger word. And let's see, and David Atwood, of course, is a funny poet. And then there's just a lot of neat local poets. It's just like, so not only like famous poets, but also local poets in my area. And then there's Claire Martin, Toby Daspit, and Tyler Sheldon, which I met them through doing a festival of words that I do every year with the Lafayette community. And they're just amazing. Just everyone I've met in the poetry community has been like really welcoming. That when I first went to my first Words Festival of Words for You event, I only knew one person. And then by the time I left, I just like wound it up with like a whole new bunch of friends.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. Now, there's a couple theories about improving yourself as a poet. One says only write when you're inspired. Don't try to grind it out. Don't try to, write every day or that kind of thing. And the other end, the other extreme end of that is write every day, write every day. And this way, when you polish yourself as a writer enough, when inspiration does come, now you're really prepared. Where on that spectrum from only writing when you feel it to writing every day? Where are you on that spectrum?
I'm probably somewhere in between in the middle because I'm like I just like to write stuff because I've got like a file. It's like about 30 pages of like fragments of like stuff that I've seen that's like popped into my head that I write. And I'm like, maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe it'll just stay there. But
Yeah,
I'm like
that's
in the middle because like when I get inspired, I get inspired.
yeah.
And like when it comes to a poem, I'll finish it just to get it out.
Hmm.
Because like I have a philosophy, I'm like, it can live forever. It just can't live forever in me. And I'll let it sit and marinate, which could be anywhere from like a day to like a year or two. Because I've recently gone back to some of my older poems and I've just like revised them.
Yeah, I've made a habit of numbering the revisions.
Yeah.
So it keeps me humble, you know.
Yeah.
I used to think that revising was denying the spontaneity of the moment. But over the years, and I'm sure you find the same thing, if you go and reread one of your older poems, you go, "Oh no, I should have done it this way. I should have
Yeah.
said this." So I have now decided to make revisions an honorable thing. So I mark how many revisions I have.
That's glorious.
Okay, next. Now, are there topics that you return to again and again?
Yeah, a lot of it's like transforming and elevation and empowerment, but also a lot of I use a lot of cosmic imagery, and some of my poems have that slow burn existential horror feel.
Mm.
Not horror as in blood and
Right,
guts,
right.
but more horror as in what you feel. It's like what you don't see. Because I've always thought what you don't see is more powerful than what you do see,
Hmm. Hmm.
especially when you leave stuff to the imagination.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
can be like a lot more powerful. And then recently I've started doing more workshops
Mm.
that there's one I do like every fourth Sunday of the month. It's like a women's workshop.
Hmm.
It's with Leah. I can't remember her last name, but she's out of Kentucky. Her and Pangea, who's out of Nashville, they host a workshop every month. And it's wonderful. It's really helped a lot. And then recently I've done one with Finn Bell, and she
A
is like
marvelous poet. Marvelous
marvelous,
poet.
absolutely. And then she had the one where we would like to do blackout. And actually, I'm working on like a few blackout pieces. One, I blacked out an Edgar Allan Poe poem, One in Paradise, which I'm almost finished with. I just have to do a title.
Well, I attended one of her prompt poetry meetings, and she threw one up at us that I thought was preposterous, that it was unreconcilable to my idea of poetry. She suggested that we write a poem about a thief who steals a golden uh, uh, garlic clove. And I thought, my God, I don't write crime fiction. That's not my thing. But I started thinking about it, and the charm of it finally hit me.
Yeah.
So I wrote a piece, and like I said, coming from a place where I thought this was ridiculous, that it was no way I was going to even try it. I was just going to walk
Yeah.
away, to writing a piece that sounded like detective fiction.
Oh,
And I
wow.
ended up loving it. It's
Awesome.
a piece I'm very proud of now. So
Awesome.
sometime, if you like, I'll send you my golden garlic.
Definitely. And you need to read that at the Dane's Friday open mic night.
Okay, good idea. Okay, next question. Now, um, do you write social commentary?
No, reason why is that there are enough people doing it. And it's just
Good
like,
answer. Good answer. Yeah, I always, when the topic question comes up, I say, well, if you're moved to, then do it. But if
yeah,
not, don't. because part of me, the social reformer part of me wants to, encourage everyone to write something about
Yeah,
making it better.
yeah.
Okay, next. If a young person asks you, sometimes I read poetry, sometimes I read fiction. Is poetry worth it? Is poetry valid enough in our culture?
I think so. And I would tell the person if write, be happy. If writing poetry makes you happy, write it. If writing stories makes you happy, write it. If writing a play makes you happy, write it. Just
Great,
be happy.
great, great. Yeah, it's a question that I've rolled around with quite a bit, and my response is they chant poetry at football games.
Yeah,
They chant it at all sports. It's part of mercantilism. When they sell you a product, they rhyme that promotional
yeah.
text. They chant it at in these army, and they march to chants. So yeah, I think chanting poetry is very important. More
Absolutely.
important than they like to admit.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What makes a good poet?
Uh, I don't know. It's just to me, I've never met a bad poet. All the poets I know are good. Love them all. It's
Okay.
just if it like speaks to you, I've never thought about what makes a good poet. I had like one of my English professors recently I had a poem, Coven of One published. And it was just like messaged me, it was just like, I really liked your poem. Keep writing. I'm like, thank you. And then I've got one of my English professors, like, I'll send him poems. It's just like, let me know what you think of this, or what can I do to improve this? I think what makes a good poet is that they're always evolving, that they're willing to get out of their comfort zone. They're willing to evolve, just not stay stagnant.
Okay, we're coming down the home stretch.
Okay.
Next question. Now, some people write poetry that is just a description. Some write what we might call nonsense or silly poems. Some people write narrative poems that have a story arc. Do you think narrative is important to poetry?
I think it's all important. Yeah, like there's some poems that like work as a story. I'm like, because I do have one of those that's like kind of a story. I'll have to pull it up, and if I've got time, I'll read that. Which that was like the night where Janis Joplin pretty much handed Jim Morrison his ass. Pardon my language.
No, no, no. In fact, Jim Morrison was one of my early poetry heroes.
Yeah, and I've always been inspired by Jim Morrison.
When
When
I,
I was in, one of my, I wrote like a research paper on Sylvia Plath
Mhm.
listening to the Doors,
Oh.
and I've always liked the Doors.
We used to do street theater
Oh wow!
where in the middle of a big shopping mall, one of us would climb into a shopping cart and expound Jim Morrison.
Oh, that is awesome!
We turned a lot of heads. I
Awesome.
I still remember several of his poems off the top of my head.
Because I've
Lions
got
in the street and roaming dogs and heat, rabid foaming, a beast caged in the heart of the city.
yes, and I've got a couple of his poetry books somewhere.
Really?
Yes.
Nice, nice. Okay, last question.
Okay.
Do you have a question for me?
I just think you're awesome. I mean, how did you get into like writing poetry and yeah.
Well, it's a simple story.
Okay.
My mom used to read nursery rhymes to us, and she
Awesome.
wrote some. And that helped me understand that regular people, not just the people in big leather-bound books, not just the international classics, not just the Grimm brothers in
Yeah.
1834, but real people can write. And that inspired me. But it really sprang out of me in one. I can picture the day, the class, the moment. I was in an English class, and I had always had a profound love and been always impacted by Native American culture. Okay. And we were asked by my English teacher to write a story about a Native American. And I sat down and wrote, "When I go hunting for the bear, my hunting bow and arrows I wear. I see the bear go to his cave to corner me. Oh, what a knave! I put an arrow on my bow. I swiftly bend and let it go. The arrow went into his side, and right away I knew he died. When I knelt down to take his skin, I saw another of his kin. The bear came at me, bared his teeth. I pulled my knife out from its sheath. I threw my knife. It missed its mark, and the bear kept coming through the dark. I put an arrow on my bow. I quickly bent and let it go. The arrow barely pierced his side, but even that would break his stride. But I stood still and looked at me, and then I knew it had to be the end." I was, I think, 12.
Awesome. That is glorious.
So even then, I was writing with a twist.
Yeah. Because when I was younger, I'd like tried writing like a murder mystery, but then it got so complicated, I was just like, eh.
I typically write straight from inspiration and don't really do a plot diagram or anything. But when
Yeah.
I write sometimes for a project and I know I want to get to that point, then I will sometimes rough out the plot
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, because like when I've like submitted, I'll try to write the theme. And then if I can't get anything, I'm just like, well, I'll set this one out. Because I also like try to write something, and if I'm not happy with it, I'm like, I'm not submitting that.
Okay,
I also
now
good
the
poet
fun part.
like revises and revises. It's just like, and one of my friends, David Atwood, when it comes to submitting, I just have to say this, like his rule is submit and forget.
Now the fun part, my dear. I
Okay.
get to turn to my lovely poet and say, "The floor is yours. Take as long as you want, a half an hour, 45 minutes, dear.
Okay.
The stage is yours."
Awesome. This first one is Oblivion Splitter. Smashed window, crushed bottle, shattered mirror, cracked glass, scattered all around. Mosaic galaxies, fragmented prisms, splintered remnants, never more beautiful. Shimmering debris, unnoticed rubble swept away in a trashed current of wrecked oblivion. This next one was published in Underland Review. It's about a situation where I admit I could have handled it a lot better. It's called Punctured Bow. It appears in the Land Review's Salt in the Wound anthology. Punctured Bow. Stabbed back, slit throats, broken heart, bruised egos, escalated tension, salted wounds, fractured trust, hostile retaliation, abandoned respect, lost loyalty, screwed over, tossed aside over the mistake of a fevered word.
Wow.
Thank,
Nice.
thank you. And this next one is Predators of Empathy. Um, Predators of Empathy. Most monsters hunt bodies. They hunt moments, hunt tears on cold flesh, swallows of bitter pills, abrupt stillness of pounding hearts, stares across the room. It isn't that they hunger for agony. It isn't that pain sustains them. It is that they survive on sorrow. They mourn and consume. The scariest monsters don't always hide in shadows, closets, or under the bed. They stand quietly, watching, observing, stalking him, her, them, you, me, us. We are the monsters.
Very nice.
Thank you. And this
Very
next
nice.
one is about an ex. Um, I wrote, I've written about exes, and this is like one I wrote about my most recent ex. It's called Sad Little Man. This is my first time reading it out loud, sharing it with an audience.
Well, I'm very honored.
Thank you. A sad little man. A lazy, muscular elitist, materialistically enlightened. All show, zero depth. Focuses on the exterior, shrugs off the interior. What a sad little man. Wields suicide and depression as weapons of manipulation. Prefers mechanical masturbation to physical intimacy. Such a sad little man. Stuck in a hated career, despises the trashed, wasted life he lives, blames others for his choices instead of taking ownership, wants the reward with refusal to do the work. Utterly a sad little man. You are not a loss. You will not be missed. Goodbye, sad little man.
Very nice.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
And that was an X. Like, I think our last, I doubt that if he watches this, if he does, I don't care. Our last conversation was just like, why did you let me blow up my summer by not doing anything? I looked at him, I was like on the phone, I'm just like, how is you making the decision to waste your summer my fault? He's like, it's not.
Wow.
It's just like, you're not gonna, don't you want to be my scapegoat? I'm like, no,
Wow.
I would hold them accountable.
You know
And
that's a lot like people who say they're bored.
yeah,
I can't imagine in
same
this
here.
world how could anyone look around and not find anything to engage them? And
Yeah,
if they think that, if they are that poor of imagination, of heart, of soul, of humanity, then they deserve that feeling
yeah.
of a waste.
Because I can never be bored. I'm just like, people are like, I'm bored. I have a friend that has a quote. She's like, if you're bored, you're boring. And that was like my friend Melissa. And I just love that quote. It's like one of my favorite quotes. And this is another one about an ex that I saw him, but he didn't see me. And I'm just like, I didn't feel anything. And I was just, and it's called Apathy of You. I received a ticket to your performance. I had to see the monstrous absurdity of your shit show for myself. You droned cheap poetry, spewed excused cancellations, with destroyed imagination laced with edited creativity. Did you see me? Was I recognized? Did my presence disrupt your force at causing your break in character? Our once magical chemistry decayed into catatonic oblivion. I let the nostalgia of you fade into serene indifference.
Wow. Good stuff. Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
And one of the things that I like about it is you sort of dissect the problem without layering a lot of anger on it, without laying a lot of blame on it. You
Yeah,
just very dispassionately look at the problem, and I think you give a very generous interpretation.
thank you.
Bravo. Because
Thank
a lot of people don't do that.
you. And then yeah, the ex in Texas was just like I was with him for 4 months. He like killed my creativity. And I might after he ghosted me, I started writing. And Sad Little Man was like one of the first poems I wrote. And I was just like, after that, I was just like, and then tried to worm his way back. I'm just like, no, I'm good. And this one, another first time reading, it's a
Nice.
Velvet Boy for
You're a very generous writer, my
thank
dear.
you. A Velvet Void. It was one I saw a prompt was just like the prompt was write a letter from a from the starring from a dying star to a black hole.
Oh,
And this is what I came up with. It's
nice.
called a Velvet Void. I am composed as my core and voice collapse into crushed silence. We dance on the edge of grace, swallowed in the purest cosmos among memories of inescapable galaxies. They call you obliteration, but they have never danced with you the way I have. I know your gravity. Others see annihilation. I see your absolute embrace. You have never asked anything of me. Rotating planets, passing comets, wanted me to keep burning forever. You do not need my light. You do not ask for my fuel. You offer a final destination. My elemental time is done. I am grotesque and bloating, shedding and shivering in an unbound supernova. I turn my ultimate gaze to you. As infinity closes in, I surrender and collapse, not outward, but inward. I am the golden arrow aimed at your heart, a sacrificial waltz across your event horizon, spinning and twirling into your eternity. My final breath, a love letter in radiation. We are eternal mass, from our first fused kiss to our everlasting embrace. I am, have, and will always be yours.
Wow. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. A great use of that metaphor of the black hole. Very nice. Very nice.
And then I know you've heard this one before.
It's okay.
I hope you don't get sick of it, but it's
No,
yet to be
impossible.
published. It's yet
Impossible.
it's yet to be published. It's one of my favorite poems to read, to perform. It's a Blurred Lines. I had it was inspired by Val Kilmer's performance as Jim Morrison of the Doors, Isabella Adjani's performance in Possession, and then my performance in a couple of plays like Agnes of God, which is
Mm.
a really intense play,
Mm-hmm.
and then also in the farce Psych, where I got to wear this curly wig and speak with an Eastern European accent, which is my favorite, was just like one of my favorite comedies plays to do. And then this is called Bloodlines. There is a little bit of language.
Ah, don't worry about it.
Okay. Bloodlines.
You're
And
among
most
poets.
awesome. Bloodlines. And most in a terrifying and addictive role. Long before I was cast, rehearsed with precision. Every movement, every thought, studied. I was not chasing imitation. I experienced that turmoil, the defiance of a tragedy existing within. My unnerving, intense commitment with an intense volatile essence and emotional energy made it impossible to remain detached. Pouring myself into every moment, I exited scenes physically drained and emotionally exposed. On stage, under the lights, the audience responds to these raw, intimate moments of my haunted transformation. This performance bled into my life, taking months to separate myself from the character. I summoned the spirit with an uncompromising truth, accomplishing something extraordinary. It was my most demanding and illuminating role. That voice still resides within, long after the faded applause and extinguished limelight. I still carry this presence. Giving everything to that performance, I didn't perform the role. I fucking lived it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Let's see.
I think there's more to that.
Yeah,
I
that's
would love to see you do a part two of that.
awesome. And then I've got, I don't know if you've heard this one or not. It's Queen of Crime. It was inspired by Agatha Christie.
I don't think so.
Okay, it's Queen of Crime. I wrote the perfect mystery and never revealed the ending. I disappeared for 11 days. The entire country searched for me. I read about it in the newspaper, registered under the name of my husband's mistress. The country erupted. Constables, volunteers, and airplanes scanned the countryside. My husband publicly begged for my return. 3 months earlier, he demanded a divorce. The night I disappeared, he spent it with another woman. Theories came, suicide, murder, publicity stunt. The truth was infinitely better. I walked into a hotel, signed the register in my own handwriting, stealing her name. For 11 days, I lived an unburdened, I never explained. That year is one I hate recalling. He was the most hated man in Britain, suspected of murdering his wife for his mistress. His romantic weekend unraveled by suspicion, reputation destroyed, dragged through every newspaper in the country. I ended that marriage and entered another one. I became a dean and the Queen of Crime, the best-selling novelist in history after Shakespeare. I took my greatest mystery to the grave. Was it trauma-induced amnesia? Was it a breakdown so severe I forgot myself? Or the most brilliant revenge plot ever executed worthy of Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple? I'll never tell.
Bravo, bravo. Nice blending of fiction and poetry.
Yeah,
Very nice.
thank you. And this is another one. And this one was inspired by Johnny Cash's first wife, Vivian.
Mm,
It's called Expendable Muse.
mm.
I walked the line. History shoved me out of the frame. I knew and loved him first. I was the gravity holding it together while he chased musical destiny. I built our home, absorbing the weight of it all. When he needed to promise himself restraint, he wrote it to me. I waited with faith that love could survive distance. I believed it for a while. He was constantly gone. Pills and adultery crept in, but I stayed. I walked the line he promised to walk. Eventually, I was done. I did not stop loving him. Loving someone who is always absent is self-erasure. I chose peace and stability over waiting for a man who vanished in every way that mattered. History edited me. Narratives portrayed me as a jealous wife, the obstacle and prelude to his real love story. I inspired one of the greatest love songs, yet I was disposable. I was not a footnote, but the beginning. I loved him before the world did. He became immortal. I became invisible. I was not a prelude to someone else's romance. I was the woman who stood beside him before he became an icon. I had the dignity to leave when love no longer served me. I walked my own damn line. History owes me.
Very nice.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
And this is one of my kind of horror poems.
Give me 1 sec.
Okay. While you do that, I can pull up this other one.
Okay. No problem.
This one is called Borderless. I don't know if you've heard this one or not.
It's okay. It'll be wonderful because you're reading it.
Awesome. Thank you. You're most kind. This is Borderless.
Just telling the truth.
Borderless. I do not read minds. I absorb lives. I feel everything. Forgotten joys, unspoken humiliations, buried grief, hidden love, all sealed behind silent calm. Everything searches through me. Every glance reopens the wound. I cannot differentiate which feelings are mine. I forget where I end and someone else begins. I cry for people I never meet. These falling tears do not belong to me. Empathy is neither a blessing nor a curse, but a reminder. Separation was and is nothing more than an illusion. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you. Let me find this one. This is, I'm going to actually pull this up because I didn't think about printing it until now. I'm not going to put my printer because it's really loud. This is called Wielded Southern Comfort. This was inspired by Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison. The party pulsated with heated electric chaos. Egos and talent collided, swirling in and out of an impromptu jam session. The Lizard King pranced, downing several shots of whiskey. He was known for provoking people. I was the blunt and wild pearl, with no patience or tolerance for his bullshit. I exposed my soul, sharing every piece of my heart. He circled me, slowing and throwing poetic vulgarities wrapped in self-indulgent sarcasm. The room was filled with tension of an oncoming storm no one dared to prevent. He grinned, throwing his drink at me. Laughter exploded in the smoky room. I didn't flinch. I calmly raised my bottle of Southern Comfort and bashed it against his head. The glass didn't shatter. My impact was loud and clear. Silence filled the room. Jaws dropped and eyes fixated, everyone frozen in place. He stood there with the booze mixed blood trickling down. He backed off, shaken by my fire, thinking I was just another girl who could be mocked and dismissed. He was wrong. Southern Comfort was not only my drink, it was my defense. On that wildly predictable night, I held my ground when I was expected to remain quiet.
Very
That one,
nice.
thank you. That one I kept re-editing and re-editing until finally it just felt finished. And this next one is one I wrote last year. It's Memorialized Decay, my first time reading it.
I'm honored.
Thank you. Memorialized Decay. This love was a tragic fluke, expired devotion, fizzled passion. Why that compulsion? Why the implication? Why this damnation? Wanting and needing to feel anything and everything but this. Betrayal, rejection, and desertion leave a stinging numbness for the bruised, abandoned heart, decomposed and falling apart. And I rarely rhyme. How I got that to rhyme, I have no idea.
Well, sometimes the muse just offers it, you know?
Yes. And when it works, it works.
Absolutely.
And this one is industrial politeness. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I think this might be your first time hearing this. Industrial politeness. We ask, how are you? A friendly but meaningless question. We answer, I am good. A correct password that moves the day forward. When someone deviates with, not so great, it disrupts the design and delays the day. We wonder why others overshare when we are just being polite. Trauma is fine as long as it's private. The question remains because it sounds caring. The answer remains because the smile is insincere. We follow the rules. Ask without sincerity. Answer without explanation. Have you asked, how are you? Have you answered, I am good?
Nice. Nice.
And I think I've got this sent to, let me find it. I'm sorry, I'm not better organized.
Oh no, don't worry about it. Listen, if you need to pause a moment and print it out, that's fine. I'll be editing the tape anyway.
Awesome.
Okay?
This is a send to composed of music titles. This is one of the first ones when I started writing. The send tos, they take me a little longer because they have to just flow right. And this one is Galactic Celestial Shenanigans. Fly me to the moon, the bad moon rising, under the sun, where across the universe the sky is a neighborhood. Hello, Earth, here comes the sun, a rust-colored sun dancing in the moonlight. An out-of-this-world space monkey with space junk contemplates life on Mars while drinking a champagne supernova and walking on the moon. A shining star in Space Oddity from an ordinary world sang an operatic space-age love song of the killing moon counting stars while walking on sunshine. Instead of waiting for the sun, Venus and her rocket of cosmic love deposits drops of Jupiter and the rings of Saturn on the whole of the moon. What a wonderful world when a sleeping-in satellite from an invisible sun awakens on a new moon on Monday. Mother Night, no longer afraid of sunlight, vacations on an island in the sun, observes the final countdown of the total eclipse of the heart with the Starman from the House of the Rising Sun. The man from planet Marzipan, along with a cloud-busting rocket man from planet Earth, gather spirits in the material world under the Milky Way to unite a black hole sun with the moon over Bourbon Street, preventing a blister in the sun and shame on the moon.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. My God, I imagine that took some time.
Yeah, because I kept refiguring it. I was just like, didn't quite like how that went. And it finally got it to where I'm happy with it.
That's extraordinary.
Thank you. And then let's see. I think you may have heard this one. It's a short one. It's a village effigy. It was inspired by the Wicker Man.
Okay.
Um, Village effigy. The couple's sun of fading light sinks into the dark harvest. Labyrinths of stone and smoke brewed in village taverns with straw paths paved with sharp thorns. Ancient and modern sacraments collide. Gods and ghosts on a distant hill watch as the king of a day for a day becomes king of the flame.
Very nice.
Thank you. And then this is kind of one of my empowering poems.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Zero Proof. My first time reading it. Zero, you're getting a lot of new stuff.
Well, I'm very pleased. It's beautiful work.
Thank you. Zero Proof. My ultimate move is silence. I have nothing to prove. I am authentic, no mask of pretense, but simply present in my own light. I delight some, but disturb others. I break through confinement, refusing to compete in the cruel theater of the oppression Olympics. I am a storm, observing always, absorbing never. And this is one of the ones. Let's see. This is one I had seen a guy I briefly dated, and then I said, hello, messaged him like, "Hello, it's good to see you," and he was just like, "I'm in a relationship, blah blah blah." I'm like, and then I sent him this poem, and he got mad. It's called "Dear Reminiscent." I made peace with our ending. On rare occasions, when you cross my mind, I wonder how you are. My yearning has dissolved. You are nothing more than a faded memory, a fleeting thought. By the way, it was good to see you. It was just like, it got kind of bad. And I wound up getting blocked. I'm like, okay, just get over yourself, dude. This is one, Fairest Discord. This was inspired by Eris, the goddess of discord. And it's called Fairest Discord. My myth began with exclusion. The gods gathered for a wedding, a celebration filled with beauty, power, and pride. All were invited except me. I did not arrive with anger or spectacle. I brought something more dangerous. One golden apple with an iconic inscription. To the fairest, three of the most powerful goddesses argued over who deserved it. The judgment was handed to a prince. His choice and actions set a war in motion. I did not raise an army. I did not command the war. I placed an apple in a pantheon filled with pride, jealousy, and ambition. The discord was already there. Chaos and conflict never appear out of nothing. They emerge through unveiling of suppressed tensions. I was the one who refused to allow it to remain hidden.
Nice.
Thank you.
Very
And then
nice.
I got one. Do I have time for one more?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. Let me find it.
You have time for 3 more.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
How's that?
That's awesome. This is one that was inspired by Cleopatra's makeup. It's called a Glamorous War Paint. This is like, I haven't read this one in a while, and since I've read it, I've made a couple of revisions. Glamorous War Paint. My makeup wasn't just decorative. It was a message. When I entered the room, the air shifted with all eyes locked. Not because of my appeal or my intellect, but my gold lapis accentuated eyes and crimson lips. These vibrant colors silenced, stirred, and remained in the hearts and minds of emperors, kings, and diplomats. My pigments did not come from Sephora, L'Oreal, Maybelline, or CoverGirl, but from powdered Coalmine beetles and mints. Everyone wanted. I weaponized it. I channeled the gods, commanded attention, asserted my dominance with everyone dazzled. All were under my spell. I knew how to stage an entrance. My lips and eyes were strategic tools sharper than any sword or spear. My eyeshadow, lipstick, and liner were more than mere cosmetics. They were armor and artillery. My ancient strategies and royal weapons were legendary echoes of the queen who transformed crushed insects and lead into declarations of power.
Very nice.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
And then let's see, two more.
Speaks to that war paint idea, you know?
Yes, definitely. This is my grief poem. As you know, my one of my cats, Antigone, for babies, Antigone, she died on Saturday night. And this one is called Transferred Personnel. This poem hits differently now than it did when I originally wrote it. Transferred personnel. I did not enter heaven or hell. My reincarnation was reassignment. No pearly gates above, no fiery inferno below, no entrance or exit. I was gifted a new position. Grief. I became your weight within, pressure behind your tears, your tightened knob. Death did not remove me. I was distributed. I was redistributed. I am not a ghost, but the weight of love entwined with memories. Okay, and that one. I'm gonna do two more if that's okay.
That's perfectly fine, my dear.
Awesome. This is one I wrote. I turned 50 3 years ago. And I wrote this poem reflecting that. It was published in the Cthulhu magazine, and it's the only poem I've been paid for. I was paid $5 for it, but then I turned around and gave them back the money so that I could get a copy of it. A golden anniversary. On my golden anniversary, I retrieved the unorthodox fragments of myself previously abandoned. I welcomed all the exiled elements of my uniquely powerful divinity home. I am not the woman I used to be, exiting one chronicle's end, entering a new once upon a time, evolving, transforming, elevating on my golden anniversary.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Let's see. I'm going to read one of my I was been inspired by like 90 Day Fiance.
Mm-hmm.
It's trash TV, but I watch it with my mother and my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also inspired by a character on The Bold and Beautiful, Rich Forrester, who is the absolute worst. And this is called Paltry Lothario. A portrait of indecision, charm, and sleaze, flexing your gym muscles, trying to thirst trap your way into relevance, thinking you should be treated like some heaven-sent Adonis who could do no wrong, acting as Mr. Wonderful, when in reality you are Mr. Blunderful. There is no line that you will not cross, no there to which you will not go, never pausing to consider the consequences of your actions, causing jaws to drop at your hypocrisy, selective memory, and unparalleled selfishness, repeating patterns of pledging your love, then yanking it, refusing to remove yourself from romantic entanglements to reflect on why you are the way you are. Absolutely in favor of love triangles if you are the object of desire, failing as a Greek god, but succeeding as a bargain bin Casanova. You are nothing more than a rejected contestant on a dating reality show. Hit the showers, asshole. You are done. When I like read that, someone's just like, that is the ultimate bone. Which I was
Nice. Very
thinking,
nice.
awesome. And now I've got, let's see if this is the one. Yes, I've got one more I'd like to read, I promise. And this
Okay.
is one I had read at a local open mic. I'm not going to name where it's at. This is one where the audience wasn't aware there was an open mic going on,
Mm.
and we did not have a microphone. And people were just like having conversations, um, just drinking. And I was just like, I think this was the poem I read before cutting my reading short, which I don't compete with noise. Yeah, even when I was in school, when I was like gave a speech in one of my college classes, people were talking, and I just stood there, looked at them, and they looked at me. I'm like, "Are you finished?" And they were like,
Well,
kind
I
of
think
embarrassed.
it's fair for you to demand the respect you deserve.
Yeah. And there's like one rule, I like when Poetry AEX does open mics. Shelly is really good. She's like, the rule is respect the mic. If someone's going, you stay quiet. And it's called repossession. I have been hounded, slandered, and vilified, confused with past slaves of my former selves. I have been regarded as a scapegoat for projected fantasies and shortcomings. I am uncommonly intriguing with distinguished intelligence and beauty, resilient yet vulnerable. My memories and images trash through landscapes of shadows, dreams, and realities. I break chaotic sliding doors and shatter glass ceilings of fabricated fallacies. I glide into an erupted culture exploding. I am not here to sell scores. Far from it. I am here to reclaim my soul.
Beautiful.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Now I'm going to read two little ones for you because
Awesome.
it's
And then
only fair
yes,
that I've asked you to read all these wonderful poems. You've done a
awesome.
marvelous job,
Thank you.
and I'm going to read two for you. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. This first one is one of my old-time favorites. It speaks to that delicate interchange between poets. Okay.
Okay.
It's called Aphrodite on the Internet Half Shell.
Awesome.
Partially emerged from the tiny text carvings in a mind illumined. Sweet thoughts, like berries on a hot summer afternoon, press to my mind's lips, staining in joy and wonder. Tiny characters bearing such weighty thoughts. Can I caress the brain who hears these electron ferried carings? Can I touch the fingertips with this typing? Are these words, will they land gently in your mind, floating like Monet's lilies on our newness? Rippling words, do me this small service. Press your cool hand to her brow. Trace her chin with this line. Rest, soft, like feathers, stroke her hand where mine might. Were distance and time less real? Or thought like lightning beyond space? The time you spend in my mind and I in yours, such sparking atomic beginnings in the rumble of electronic typing's thunder.
It's beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
also wrote a poem about Aphrodite.
Go ahead, find it.
Let's see. This one's called Questions of the Lord, my first time sharing it out loud. I am easy to dismiss, labeled as vain, shallow, and dangerous, the goddess of desire who starts wars and ruins men. Look closer. I do not swing swords or throw lightning bolts. I do not rule the skies or command the seas. My power is not physical dominance, it is influence. My promise ignited the Trojan War. Kingdoms fell because I understand desire. My questions are unsettling. Am I manipulative or aware of the leverage I possess? Beauty is not just aesthetics, it is magnetism, persuasion, and the ability to shift outcomes without force. Historically, when women wield power, it is judged more harshly than brutal strength. If Zeus commands, he is powerful. If I influence, I am blamed. Why? My weapon is desire. I did not create longing, but amplified what already exists. I reveal where devotion lies, where loyalty falters, where ego overrides reason. Is that manipulation or revelation? I embodied a truth many are uncomfortable with. Power is not always dominance. Sometimes it is allure and persuasion. When beauty moves the world, is that manipulation or mastery? If you had my kind of power, would you wield it or walk away from it?
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice. This one is a playful little piece
Awesome.
about two poets.
Oh,
Take a poet to lunch, crunch. Gosh, they'll love you ever so much. Take a poet out to dinner, you'll see, and soon you'll prove to be a great big winner. Take a poet to your bed, he'll remember every word you said. Get a poet a great dessert, she may decide you're worth a flirt. Take a poet to a lovely movie, before too long, you'll be feeling groovy. Take a poet to a show, oh my gosh, your eyes will glow. Make a poet a tasty breakfast, you'll find vast pleasures in your comfy nest. Take a poet out to tea, oh, how happy you will be. Take a poet for a drive, you'll smile and laugh, and surely you will thrive. Take a poet for a stroll, you'll find a wit that's droll. Take a poet for a drink, you'll get their worldview quite succinct. Pour a poet a cup of coffee, she will give you kisses sweet as maple toffee. Make a poet a nice big salad, he will surely sing you a folksy ballad. Butter up a poet's toast, he will love you up the most.
That is glorious. And I do want to let you know that like the 25th of July, it's the last Saturday of the month. It's an in-person and virtual Zoom with Novus Ghost Press. I will be hosting. So, and if you'd like to come, we'd love to have you.
I would be honored.
Yeah, it's register at novusghostpress.com.
Would you send me the link?
I will send you the link.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you. But it's my first time ever hosting, being an MC, because I'd been asked a while. I kept, really wasn't comfortable, and then finally, which it's ran by Matthew. I'm probably gonna butcher his last name. I'm really sorry. It's Matthew Mahaya, and he's just like wonderful. Love him. He's awesome. He likes awesome. He's really incredible. And since I've started doing a lot of Zoom, I've been like honored to meet so many wonderful poets like yourself, Dane, Michael. And then yesterday I was on a Zoom and Therese. We both talked about how wonderful and awesome you are. And she said you had helped her with her website. And I was just like, that's Richard. And like we talked about how wonderful you are.
You're very kind. You're very kind. I just believe that it's important to help your friends.
Absolutely. And one of these,
an artist's life is difficult at best, and we are typically quite sensitive. So I always figure if I can help out a little, it does us both good.
Yes, awesome.
Okay. And the date of that was the 25th, you said?
Yes, it is the 25th of July.
Okay.
It is like 8:30 Pacific time,
Okay.
which would be 8:30 my time, 9:30 your time.
Okay. Okay. So, last thing I was going to say is
Okay.
if there's a message or some thought you want to share with our fellow poets, what would that be?
Just keep writing, editing, revising. And someone asked me when did I consider a poem finished? I used to say when it was published, but I had submitted a poem, I forgot about it, and I revised it. And then I'm like, oh, submit and forget. And then I had gotten that I'd gone on the website and found that it had been accepted. I'm like, okay, which I like. The old version stands, but I also like the new version. And which
Well,
like I stand behind everything I write. They're like some of my poems um, perform orally better because I had this one poem I written that it was like because it was like another Senti poem. I wanted to do one with like the Magnificent Seven and do like a 7-course meal. But I wound up doing like ultimate choices. I may go back and split it into 2 poems
uh-huh.
because I was like reading it in an open mic and like halfway through, I'm like, this does not work out loud. But I'm like, I kept reading it because I was like proud of the poem.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna break it down into like a couple of different menus.
Well, my
The different
dear
poems, I mean.
Alicia, it has been a real pleasure to have a little chat with you,
Absolutely.
to learn a little bit more about you. And I really, really enjoy your work. You
Thank,
write beautifully. You
thank
have
you
a
so much.
great, great heart.
Thank you. And one of these days, I'm going to put out a book, a
Absolutely.
manuscript, because I
Absolutely.
had one that, like, after I submitted it, I had like revised the poems, and out of about 56 manuscripts, 3 were selected. Mine was in the top 10.
Wow, great.
I'm like, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. You have a good night, okay?
You too. Thank you for
Hope
having
to
me.
see you soon, dear.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye.